Hi everyone, it's Wednesday the 3rd of September. Hope you're all doing really well. I think we squeezed as much as we could out of the transfer market the last couple of days, and now the deadline's shut. We're going to have a quick look in the second part of today's show on some of the fallout, some of the big stories coming from the transfer deadline. We'll also look at how the England squad is shaping up and looking for those two qualifiers that are taking place over the next couple of weeks. But first, we'll start with the crypto markets and have a look at the movers and shakers in the last 24 hours. So grab yourself a drink, whether that's coffee or something stronger, and let's get started with the show. Everyone, before we get started, just wanted to interrupt the show to quickly let you know that all the information shared in this video and any video we show is for education and entertainment purposes only. If you need financial advice, please speak to a financial advisor. Okay, that's it. Like and subscribe, click that bell button so you never miss a beat, and enjoy the rest of the show. Okay, let's get started with the crypto update for today. Changing it around a little bit today, starting with crypto instead of football. I think it deserves its moment to go first today. We'll notice that actually we're going to be having a bit of a change today. The last few days we've gone on CoinGecko, reviewed the top 100, then Coin Bubbles, then Fear and Greed, and then Alt Season. I've got some separate notes today to try and dive a little bit deeper and do the crypto market a little bit more justice today. So you might see me popping between two screens, trying a few different things. You know how it goes when you're starting a new channel out. You've got to try some different things, haven't you? Okay, let's take a start with this. Trading volume is slightly up. As you can see, a little spike. I think that equates to around 2% increase over the last 24 hours. Always good to see that trading volume going up. We know the whales are buying, we know the whales are selling. We're seeing a rotation from BTC into ETH. You wouldn't really see it, the prices are pretty static at the moment, but that's kind of what I'm reading and what the on-chain activity is telling us. Looking up and down the sort of volatility and movement that we're seeing. We are seeing a mixed market at the moment. It's definitely in a consolidation phase that we've been talking about. I expect that really until maybe the data points come out at the end of this week. I think we've got some more data that's going to help inform the Fed on their decision of whether or not to cut those rates. I think the market is positioning cautiously with a yes and a 25 basis points. Could Powell come out and cut 50 and just explode the world? I knowing Jerome Powell and his stance, the way it's been for the last certainly 18 months, I suspect it's going to be 25 if he cuts at all. If he doesn't cut, I think we're going to see, could this be the end of the bull market? Or certainly, I think we'll see a huge correction, potentially up to 30%. But I don't think he will not cut rates until then. There will be a cut, and that will signal the final leg of the bull market. But there's debate: will it be September? Will it be October? Will it November? I'm edging towards there being two cuts this year, one in September and potentially one again in November, which will spark the final push, maybe for alts. Everybody diving in there before we close out this bull market and end with hopefully a bang for some of those alts that we've all been holding and praying for alt season. Okay, let's just have a look at some technical analysis around Bitcoin. So let's dive into Bitcoin on here, right now, and just have a look at the price and the way we've had some movements over the last 24 hours. So we can see the big change in the last couple of days. Yesterday, where we dipped down to 108, which is the lowest we've seen. It has recovered really well. That's a really strong sign when you see that recovery. We saw the movement happen. It's gone back up now to around 111k, which is a great point. It's good to see it moving. 110 is the EMA. We're now above that. We need to stay above that. If we can stay above 110, that's really bullish. it indicates that we've had a short-term correction if we go below, or we're due a short-term correction if we go below 110. But I think the previous week we had a CME gap of up to about 123k. We're going to have to fill that at some point, and typically CME gets filled pretty quickly. So keep an eye out on that. If we stay above 111 and we start to see some positive momentum, we could be on the charge to 123k and potentially cracking out that next all-time high for Bitcoin, which would be really exciting. If it drops below 110, our next key point to look at is around 95k. We don't want that to happen, obviously. We don't want to see that. Because we all want to be bullish, but I think a correction might be due in September, especially leading up to those Fed numbers, especially if they cut rates. If they cut rates, we will definitely, if they don't cut rates, we'll definitely see it drop, I think, below 95 and maybe going down a little bit lower. But if they cut rates, then I think we'll see new all-time highs. We'll get that CME gap filled, and then we'll see what happens after that stage. So we've got a neutral RSI at the moment on Bitcoin, but it's leaning to overbought, suggesting caution for new longs. If you do want to gamble with leverage, I don't recommend it. But then again, I'm not experienced enough. I know my limits. I stay in my lane. I'm definitely not messing with leverage. 24-hour volume, again, we've had nearly 180 billion thrown into Bitcoin. A large amount of that is through stable coins and stable coin issuing, and that's the volume that we're saying. There's robust liquidity coming through, but we've had 21%, nearly 22% coming through DeFi. Again, fundamentals. We know the fundamentals with Bitcoin. Strong ETF, strong institutional buy-in. Now, Bitcoin is seen as that hedge against inflation. It's seen as that safe haven to some degree, and it's been talked about in the same context as gold, etc., etc. Interesting to see that gold has topped out a new all-time high again. Typically when gold goes up, Bitcoin does follow. Bit interesting to see what happens there. Stock markets have also been showing quite a bit of strength, so it's all interesting how it's all shaping up this market. It's a very interesting time in this political landscape that we're seeing. Let's dive into ETH a little bit more now and look at ETH. ETH's not telling as good a picture. That's down nearly 2%. I really want to see ETH above 4,500. That's a nice number for it to be at. It struggled. I think with ETH, what we've seen is the last in end of July, August. We saw the end of July, it got close to that all-time high. We saw it hit that all-time high in August. A few dollars, but we didn't smash over that 5,000. That is a big psychological boundary that ETH has got to break through if we're going to see big gains this year. Or are we just going to see an all-time high of a similar amount to what we saw last bull cycle, which was around 4,900? Are we going to see the same thing, or are we going to see that hollow ground that everybody's talking about of it getting between 7 and 10k? I would be massively surprised if we didn't get above 5k, but I would be extremely surprised if we got above 10 with the way this market's looking. But who knows? Institutional investors are flowing in, and ETFs now are flowing in for Ethereum. Is that going to change the dynamic, especially if we get rate cuts? Are institutions and ETFs going to be a lot more bullish and risk off and just pile into ETH, or is it going to be Bitcoin? Or are we going to see that rotation that we're seeing from some whales? Are we going to see more rotation? Going to be a really interesting time. Again, very similar to Bitcoin, it's neutral, the RSI. No immediate overbought, oversold signals. High activity on DeFi, but ETH lags BTC in momentum at the moment, as you can see from the charts we've just shown. We've seen the ETH to BTC ratio switch. It was around 0.041 over the last few weeks. It's dropped down to below 4 now, which says you a lot. I think I typically, my gauge on how strong Ethereum's point is actually against Bitcoin. It was up in August. The last week or so, it's dropped down, particularly this week. Something to keep an eye on. If you are looking to trade in and out a Bitcoin and Ethereum, which a lot of people seem to recommend doing. I've not done it myself yet, but I am eyeing a good healthy, I think between 0.05, I'd love it to be 0.07, or going up to 0.1 would be amazing. for the ratio between Ethereum and Bitcoin, that would be a good time to rotate in. Just remember the tax implications of doing so, particularly if you're fortunate to live in the UK, where next year is going to be particularly brutal. Might do a bit more on that at some point, as we start to, hopefully if we start to take profits this year, then I'll start to have a look at what that might look like next year, and how we can sort of plan for the tax and some of the challenges there, and link to some colleagues who have produced some really fantastic YouTube videos on how to manage tax, because they're tax advisors and I'm absolutely not. I'm just a guy trying to navigate this crazy world at the moment. Altcoins, let's go back to our chart and let's have a look at altcoins. At the moment, most altcoins are below their 50-day moving average, reflecting bearish short-term trends. And I think as you look up and down, it's gone up a little bit, but we're not seeing huge amounts, are we? It's always good to see green though, far better than yesterday when I did my video, and we're seeing reds. We're seeing greens. We're seeing a couple of twos. The Monero seeing a 2% rise today in the last hour, 1.5% in the last week, 24, but down 1% in the OVO. So if you look at the 7-day, it's good to often compare the 1 hour with the 24 with the 7-day, and you can see for a lot of these over the last 7 days it is bearish, and it is down, not massively though. One could say consolidatory, but that's where we are. That's what the data is telling us. The RSI, let's have a look at some selected coins. I've been keeping an eye on World Liberty Finance just simply because of the hype around it. It's around 40. Hyperliquid is 45 and PIF is 42, which indicates oversold conditions, which is really interesting because it could hint at potential rebounds. Is now a dip to get in, buy those coins, and hopefully see some strong returns or even some modest returns. But we always say any return is better than loss, so take it. If it's 10%, awesome. If it's any more than that, excellent. But it's always great to be looking for those rebound conditions, getting in and getting out as quick as you can, particularly with alts, because it could be a bit dangerous. It is a minefield, isn't it? We've got a lot of volume and speculative trade on World Liberty Finance, as we've talked about. We had a recent 11% drop, which is quite big, isn't it? Which suggests obviously the whales are coming in. Those who were early into it, which probably is most of the Trump family, have just cashed out now, took the money and run, and probably stuck it into something else like ETH, and start to buy the dip on that as well. It's interesting, isn't it, what it would be to have billions and that money to be able to do shit like that and not have any consequence or to worry, because at the end of the day you've just made free money, really. Okay, altcoins, I think we just said it, tied to political news. And that seems to be one of the key narratives this cycle, doesn't it? Trump getting in, everybody getting excited about his pro-crypto talk, and then he came with his tariffs, then he's tried to be peacemaker, and who knows, we'll see what happens and how that shakes out, what he's going to say next. Apparently he's arguing he's going to take Congress, or he's going to take legal action to try and remove this trade ban. We'll see what happens with that. Again, keep an eye on that. It's macro. It could impact crypto if that looks like it's going to impact the markets or do anything to restrict or compromise trade. So again, it's the macro stuff. We've got to keep it in mind. AI and GameFi has been a strong narrative. We had early signs of it early in the market. Same with meme coins. They've actually died down now, particularly FET, which has been really disappointing on the markets this year. That came with a lot of promise. It went up really high, I think to around $3-4. It's now at 61 cents. Again, if you want to take a gamble, FET for me is a good one. 61 cents. It's got potential to go up to at least $4. It was at $4, which is a 4-5x on that. So just keep an eye, which is an 8x, sorry, on where we're at the moment, nearly. So just keep an eye on that. Who knows what's going to happen with this bull market. We could see everything fire up, or we could see selected coins just fire up. Top gainers and losers. Let's have a look at what we've got on CoinGecko. We've got the trend top gainers, Collector Crypt, Worthless, and TDCCP, all making massive gains. I mean, Collector Crypt nearly 500% gains. If you're in there, well done. You've done really well. Let's have a look at some of the top losers. Bunny is down 36%, but that's been exploited. So again, it's a weird project. So you're gonna get stuff like that. If you mess with those things, you've got to be really careful. You've got to really do your own research and know your things. If you don't, you could get in trouble. World Limited Finance, 11% down. We talked about that earlier. PIF, Hyperliquid. He's getting a lot of trading volume going into Hype though. So is it a buy the dip opportunity? We spoke about that earlier with PIF, World Limited Finance and Hyperliquid being down to those degrees and showing that it's due a rebound. Is now the time to have a look at those that are losing. Could next week be winning? Okay, let's have a look at the macro conditions and the macro factors. And I think we'll flip it round. I'll just have a look at the fear and greed index because that's another good indicator. Interestingly enough, today we moved up to greed. Whoa. We moved up to greed today. 55. Someone's chugging there, aren't they? We moved up to 55 today in greed. It shows that Bitcoin's correction, suggests there's a bit of caution, but altcoin season signals are mixed, and I think that's channeling a little bit of greed and potential thoughts around that. Let's have a look at macro. Pro-crypto US administration and SEC policies are bullish long term. We keep talking about that, don't we? But short term volatility persists due to uncertainty around projects like World Limited Finance and also Trump and his trade. The economic indicators, so CPI inflation at 2.7%, which is near the Fed's 2% target, so that's good. And a 4.25%, 4.5% base rate. They provide room for rate cuts, supporting risk assets like crypto. So historically, September has weakness in the crypto and stock markets, which we did talk about. We've referred to this month as Rectember. So we do need to be cautious about that. But the data's not looking good. So we know there's no Fed meeting until mid-September. So we're looking around the 17th. Near my birthday, it'd be great to get some good news, wouldn't it? And get a nice birthday present for me. Because you all want me to have a nice birthday, don't you? And you want one. It'd be like your birthday as well, actually, if we get alt season early, won't it? So it doesn't matter whether it's your birthday or not. We all want those green candles flying up that screen, and hopefully we'll get that towards the latter part of this month. But yeah, we've got greed at the moment, so always a good indicator. Changing the sentiment. We spoke yesterday about it being neutral, and the day before it was teetering towards fear, so we shifted right over the course of this week back into greed, which shows positive momentum coming. Other factors that we've got at the moment are we've had some exploits, that bunny we talked about earlier, highlighting security, and again that potentially every time we have these exploits, every time we have this shit go down, it always dampens altcoin sentiment and puts it at risk, and we'll see that shortly. If we look at the altcoin season index, we can see that it's gone from 65 to 63, so maybe that's just waned a little bit of that a bit of that sentiment. We're still not dead yet. We've still got an option. We're still teetering more towards alt season than we are towards Bitcoin season, so that's still positive for us if we're looking at altcoins, and I think we do want that, don't we? So interesting that a lot of people are going that the suggested day trade from all that data that we calculated is actually on Bitcoin and going long on it. We think that Bitcoin, seeing that positive momentum that we saw earlier, that looking long at Bitcoin is going to be positive. It's shown real positive. Look at that over the last week. We're seeing it going green. I think it's time for it to come and fill that CME gap. So I think we'll see short term. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I think it's short. I'm bullish forever on Bitcoin, obviously, but this week and short term, I think we're gonna have a good week for Bitcoin. So before I wrap up this part of the show, I'm just gonna quickly have a look on crypto bubbles. I like having a look at crypto bubbles. It's quite nice here just to see it popping. It's very mixed today, isn't it? Look at that, a mixture between green and red, and we've not really seen that so much before. We're not seeing some. It's not that difficult, is it? It's not that down again. We're seeing this bad boy, meme core, right up there, 10%. Again, it's popping at the moment. But, the bigger they pop, the harder they fall. So just be careful. If you are aping into meme core, which seems to be doing amazing. If you'd have got in at the start of this week, you would be loving your bags and rubbing your hands together. It's done very well. But let's see what happens for the rest of the week. Been an interesting 24 hours. Let's keep an eye on Bitcoin. I think that's going to lead the way and indicate the momentum for the rest of the market. And I'll be back to give another update on the crypto and where we are with the markets tomorrow. Hope you found that useful, and we'll move on to the next part of the show, which is a very brief look at the football and what's happening with the fallout for the transfer news and also the England team. Okay, let's move on very briefly and cover some of the football stories today. We got some deals that I didn't quite make and we missed out yesterday, so I'm just going to pick some notable ones from my notes just here. Kelce Iheanacho has gone as a free agent to Celtic. What do we think? Good signing that, actually. Experienced striker. Didn't really cut it for Middlesbrough last season, did he? So is he going to hit it at Celtic? I guess it adds a bit more depth and strength to Celtic's squad. What else did we not report on? Ego Jesus, I think we did report is a striker who's moved from Botafogo in Brazil. As we talked about yesterday, their feeder club for Notts Forest. I think this is the third signing they've had from Botafogo. Another what notable, and this is from Italy, but it's Dele Alli. He's had his contract terminated at Como and he's a free agent available. Could he do a job for some clubs? Does he need to take a step down to the Championship and reply his trade there, maybe drop his wage demands, get back to being the player hopefully he could be and he was at Tottenham? I think Jose Mourinho called it right about his attitude, that he's got all the talent in the world, but his attitude let him down. Is that always going to be? Is Dele Alli going to be one of those people we talked about? His talent at Tottenham was amazing. However, he never really fulfilled his potential. A little bit like Ravel Morrison and other people like that came with such high potential as youngsters, but never really fulfilled it. For whatever reason, outside influences, mentality, mental elasticity to be able to support with the stresses of being a professional footballer. What do we think? I personally, I'd love to take a chance at Sheffield United on Dele Alli. Think his wage demands might be a little bit too much for us, but he's one that I wanted to give a notable mention to. He's available now. I think he'd be a cracking signing for like a top tier Championship club or maybe a Premiership club who's willing to invest time, get an arm around him, nurture him, show him the right ways, and hopefully get the best out of Dele Alli and bring him back home, and let's see if we can get that player that we always knew we'd got there and get the best out of him. Yunus Musa going from AC Milan to Atlanta. He was really heavily backed. I think he's come from Valencia. He was a midfielder, but he's now moved to Atalanta on loan till the end of the season. We'll give just a quick updates on some team news. Cole Palmer, I think he's out with the England squad, definitely injured. Saka we know's ruled out. Braithwaite we know's ruled out. So England team news at the moment, we're just keeping an eye on that. Jadon Sancho's moved to Aston Villa. Clearly he's going to be pushing for an England recall, but work to do. As we've seen Marcus Rashford's resurgence last season, now going to Barcelona and getting his rewards for that move and taking that chance and showing some reasonable form, is now in the England squad. What do we think about that? Do you think he's earned it? Do you think he deserves it? I think there's more better players. Grealish has been on fire. He's been omitted from the squad. It's a strange one, isn't it? But Tuchel, we've got to trust Tuchel as an experienced manager. Is he going to get a great result in the next two fixtures that we've got? Harvey Elliott, again, coming off a European Championship win with under 21s. He's spotlighted very much for his recent, again, move to Villa. Villa have boosted their ranks by getting Harvey Elliott. Does that give him a chance to move his step up from the under 21s into the senior squad? Okay, let's just go through some of the roundup and news that's hitting us. I'm going to pick out some key stories. I'm going to not talk about Mark Gay because I've got a little bit to talk about, an update on what happened there and the story that emerged around his failed move to Liverpool and that he's staying still at Crystal Palace. Raheem Sterling, what has happened to Raheem? Can't get a move for love nor money. Can't get a game at Chelsea. Looks like he's now training away from the first team group. Is that an attitude thing? Is that a squad thing? Chelsea fans, what do we think? What's happened to Raheem? Such a shame. We had a player there, and he just seems to have gone off the boil for whatever reason. We see that quite a lot nowadays, don't we? And it's such a shame. We've got so much talent in England. We want to see it blossom and challenge, don't we? So, FA forced to pay Nottingham Forest hundreds of thousands after losing landmark legal battle with the Premier League club. I tell you what, Forest owner, despite what you think about him, is a monster, isn't he? He just seems to get his way. He's definitely very savvy and a great. Can't say anything. He's passionate and does a lot for Forest. Some may doubt his means and ways, but he definitely is all in on Forest. Paqueta. Poised to receive only a fine after being found guilty of 2 misconduct relating to his spot fixing allegations. The betting stuff, he was cleared in July. We're not going to talk about Gay. Anthony, overcome with emotion, is gone to Betis. He's left his nightmare at Man United. And I think we can say that on both sides. Karen Brady and David Sun are facing resignation demands from West Ham supporters. West Ham fans, what do we think? Karen Brady and Sullivan been there a long time, done a lot for the club, but looks like the fans are not happy with them. Is it the chairman, the chair group, the chief exec, and all that side of it, the way the club's run, or is it Potter, or is it both? Do you want to see a complete rehash? West Ham fans, let me know. What do you think? Okay, we're just going to have a look at some of the latest news and look at some of the stuff around the England squad. Loftus-Cheek, we reported yesterday, buzzing to be back in the squad after Wharton's injury. We've got England versus Andorra, so let's have a look at the matches that we've got. We've got England versus Andorra on Saturday at 5 o'clock BST. We'll definitely be giving some updates on that after the game. Tuchel's given an interview. It's all about Loftus-Cheek, isn't it, coming in? Let's have a look at where England are. Top in the group, as always. If you look at the quality of opposition, bar probably Serbia and Albania maybe, but none of those are going to win either a World Cup or a European Championships. And this is why I think we start to go off this sort of thing, because you play these teams, and with all respect, it's just, we should be trouncing them every week, but we don't. And then England fans get disappointed. We get all downbeat. We then go to a major tournament. We play somebody decent, or we start to perform well. Everyone gets excited. We get the coming home song. We get all the football's coming home, all this lot. And then England ultimately disappoint. Are we going to see a change in that for this World Cup? Southgate did phenomenally well to get us quite far in the previous tournaments. Are we going to do one better? And start to actually compete? We got to the final of the Euros, ultimately got beaten by Spain. Is the World Cup, is next year in the US going to be our time to shine? And is England going to fulfil some of its really talented squad's potential? Tell me what you think. Are England going to do well under Tuchel, or are we going to continue to disappoint, as we invariably do? It's a bit unfair. I think unless we're winning tournaments every tournament, I think England fans get on the team's back and the manager's back. It's an impossible job. I'd love to be a football manager, but I definitely won't want the England job. It's just too stressful, man. I just think I'd have a nervous breakdown after it. It's just the media and everything. Look at all this lot, media just trouncing already, building it up. And we've only got 2 shitty qualifiers, come on, guys. Anyway, right, let's move on to our next story before I start getting hung up on that. Andorra, Saturday, 5 o'clock. We'll do a breakdown of how that went on Sunday, and we'll do the fallout from that game, I promise. Okay, next story that I wanted to go through, and this is a really interesting one. Glasner battled with the board for Gay. He basically said to the board, if you sell Mark Gay, I am going to quit. I'm going to resign and walk out. Now that takes some cojones, doesn't it, to go to your board and say that? That is a bit of a strong play. But yeah, apparently he walked into the board and said that he was going to, because they didn't have enough time to make the transfer, to put in a suitable replacement. Now, Palace's game, their uprising has been amazing. I've said it before, I said it a couple of days ago, the Eagles are soaring, and seeing them now show this strength here. Glasner, I really respect him. I think he's a top manager. And for him, to come out and be that strong and say to the board, I'm going to resign, have the courage of conviction. Would he have seen it through? Maybe not. Who knows? It's history now. But the board backed their manager and said, okay. So the challenge you've got now, Palace fans, though, is you would have had, I think it was about a 35 million transfer fee. I think it's talking about here, and I think that's what I read as well. It's not coming now. So what's going to happen in the next 12 months is Gay's definitely going to leave. Like he wants to go play Champions League football. He wants to make that step up. You can't fault him as a young English player. He wants to challenge himself at that highest level. He needs to. However, I completely appreciate Glasner and Crystal Palace's view. They want to ride on the momentum. They want to get a suitable replacement in, and that makes absolute sense. So what they've done now is agreed. I think what will happen is Gay will run out his contract until the summer, and then he'll leave and go to Liverpool on a free. Liverpool have saved themselves £35 million, but they've got to wait for their man. I suspect the deal will get done, uninformally. It'll get done in the background. Van Dijk's turning 35. Gay is the natural replacement. He's a captain of Palace. He's a born leader. Bringing him into Liverpool, you've got arguably Van Dijk's been a huge rock for Liverpool, but Gay, with his experience playing for Chelsea, playing for Palace, and now getting international football and also getting football in Europe with Crystal Palace, I think will ready him perfectly to make that transition to Liverpool. And maybe Van Dijk will stay. He's going to play till he's 37, 38, isn't he? He doesn't need his pace. He just reads the game so incredibly well. We have seen little moments though where his pace has let him down, but I do think that he will be a strong, that Gay will be a strong addition to that team. So I just wanted to report on that. I thought it was really interesting. And the last bit of news that I wanted to come on is the controversy that I spoke about between the Chelsea and Fulham game, where King had his goal disallowed, and there was huge uproar from the pundits to Marco Silva. Everybody has really weighed in yet again on VAR and yet again on refereeing in this country. It's such a shame, isn't it? A lot of the fallout from some of these fantastic games ends up being the referees, and they should be invisible in the game in my mind. We shouldn't even know that they're there to keep football played fairly and on time, etc., not to become the centre of attention. We've always talked, I've had an issue with referees in the past, always making it about them, and VAR seems to be doing that now, and I wish they'd just piss off and leave it, to be honest. It's just so annoying, and it's such a shame because that would have made it a really entertaining game. Now for me, I captained João Pedro, so obviously I wanted Chelsea to win that game for my FPL points, and he delivered, as he has been doing quite consistently. But yeah, controversy again, and how Danny Murphy there, they have to do better. Completely agree. It's got to be clear and obvious if a decision is overturned. It looks like that wasn't the case, and obviously Howard Webb has had to come out again and defend, again say they got it wrong. What are you going to do about this then? Because it seems to be happening more than enough. I'm a Sheffield United fan. I'm still bitter this wasn't VAR. This was the bloody watch not working when the ball crossed the line against Villa. And everybody saw it go in the net, but because the referee's watch didn't ping, he wasn't having the goal. And that cost us massively during that season. So technology is awesome when it works, and when it doesn't, it's absolute shit. And that is what we're seeing here, and it's very disappointing for us. But anyway, just wanted to follow up. So at least Webb has acknowledged that. He says it's a misjudgment. I'm interested to see, what are you going to do about it, Howard Webb? What are you going to do about VAR? And what are you going to do about how VAR intervenes in games? Clear and obvious, that is the time when you should intervene. If it's not, stay out of the picture, leave it to the referee on field, and let's just get on with the game, please. Okay, quite a passionate response. As you can see, it means a lot to me. I think football's the best game in the world, and I just don't want to see my game that I've grown up all my life loving being ruined by somebody in the centre of the pitch that, to me, should remain invisible. What do you think? Do you disagree with me? Do you think the referee did the right thing? Do you think VAR has been a great thing, or do you think it's been a bad thing? I'm mixed. I think it's anything that can help the referees, anything that can help make the game fairer, obviously is welcome. But my view is, as I've said, the referee should be invisible. What do you think? What's your views on it? What do you think about the Mark Gay and Oliver Glasner situation? Do you think that Glasner has won, or do you think it was a mistake? Should they have let Gay go if he wants to go? I think we saw against Villa, he gave his all, so we know that his heart and soul is there. He's a great professional. Are we going to see the same professional approach until the end of the season, or will his head get turned and will he end up invariably regretting that decision that they should have sold him? England, what we're thinking about England, are we going to get the win against Andorra? We better do better, won't we? We should be scoring at least 3 or 4, shouldn't we, against Andorra? But England, they'll sit back. England will struggle to break them down. You know the story. We see it every game in these qualifiers. Can't wait for them over, but can't wait for international for the tournament, because that's when England really comes to life and it gets fun again. All right, I've had my spiel, had my time. Let me hear from you in the comments. Tell me what you think, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back again either tomorrow or Friday. Let's see what the market's like. If there's some stuff to report, I'll come back again tomorrow. If not, I'll be previewing the England game for Saturday, and then again on Sunday after the England match to give you some fallout. And as always, we may skip football and just focus on crypto, so we might just be the chain or the ball, depending on what's happening. But we'll always try to give you quality content and regular content. So as always, like, please. If you've made it this far, again, you deserve a medal. Drop that like button, please, just to show me some appreciation for the time I've given, and also to help me improve my reach. Please share this if you can. The more people we can reach, the more comment and views we can get across. And also, if you can subscribe to my videos and also smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat, that would be very much appreciated, and hopefully you'll get some fun from that as well. Okay, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all very soon. Take it easy.